you had your pocket full. In a bill there'll be money. Never joke, never joke, never joke. Oh, money never, money never, money never, money. Money, I know what you conniving. Money, money never, money never, money, money never, money. Money, you can keep your conniving money. When you've been knocked for a bum, in a bill there'll be money. Now because your money done, you come with conniving money. When you had your pocket full, in a bill there'll be money. Now because your money done, you hustle for tell me money. Yes, money never, money never, money, money never, money. Money, now know what you conniving money. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. That's all the money that me walk for. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. This is all the money that me walk for. I said money never, money never, money, money never, money, money. Now I know what you can have in money. Oh, Joseph.
That matter, but it is the efforts and the genuineness of your effort, right? That is what matters. And so thank you for your efforts. We are going to get to 500 eventually, don't worry. As a matter of fact, in the first minute of coming on, in the near future, we are going to get 500 plus viewers. We will end this program on a high. How about 12,000 views, live views? How about that? We can do this. I know we can do this, right? I know we can do this. But let me start today's program by telling you that the Epadaji, International Decade for People for Yourself Data Network, because it means more people will get to know you. More people will get to know your product. More people will get to know your brand, right? And so it's important that we encourage our young people to go there and promote them. You have to promote yourself. Don't always wait on others to promote you. Some people, like I like to say, like to watch us walk, like to walk with us to the finish line, right? But watch us fail. They don't necessarily want us to succeed, right? So that is something you have to be constantly aware of and keep reminding yourself of, right? It is not everybody who walks with you to the finish line wants to see you succeed. And so my encouragement is for you to, go down there, make your pitch, and see how it works out for you. Good? See how it works out for you. I am sure that it's going to pay off in the long run. Right? It is going to pay off in the long run. So on Sunday, the 1st of May, go down to the Theatre Guild. Theatre Guild is at Parade Street, Kingston. Right? Go there and ensure that you do your thing. Be professional. I usually tell people, luck is preparation meeting opportunity. Right? And so I hope that you youngsters are constantly preparing for the success, the opportunities to succeed, which lay ahead. Right? I hope that you've been doing that. And so here is this glorious opportunity for you to make your pitch. And so join Epadaji Sunday at 9 o'clock at the Theatre Guild and make your pitch. Right? Don't believe what you're doing is too small. It is never too small. I can guarantee you that. What you're doing is never too small. You might think in your mind that what you're doing is small. But the largest tree starts from a seed. Start small. You got to quit before you walk. Right? You got to quit before you walk. And sometimes your opportunity is right there at the business conference. So go there, sound your voice, make a grand entrance. I know some people are timid. Oh, me? I only making tamarind balls. It's only tamarind balls. But for all you know, you have the best tamarind balls in the whole country. Because nobody else makes tamarind ball with the kind of flavor that you can make tamarind ball. And the presentation is important. Good? Oh, me? Man, I just only sell chicken foot. But sometimes you get the best chicken foot, so I'll say. And you don't know it because you are belittling yourself. You're afraid to put it out there because you don't have that self-confidence. Step out in faith and see what happens. Step out in faith and see what happens. Case in point, when KAMS TV started, Marcia Gordon, good morning. I had one viewer, right? I started it as an experiment with some colleagues from the APNU. Good? Some colleagues from the APNU. And we started talking to each other via the platform. well, no, I don't want to call her name. I have good reasons for not calling her name. A former colleague of mine, I used to invite to live, Facebook Live, alone. Do you know you can invite one person to your Facebook Live? And I used to test this thing, and gradually, I opened it up. And for quite a while, I was talking to less than 100 persons, 60 persons, and so on. Right? But now, I dare say that KAMS TV is one of your leading social media platforms because it brings valuable information to you. Right? It's chilling with the big boys. It can't chill with the big boys. Right? And so don't ever belittle yourself and tell yourself what you're doing is too small. Regardless of what you think you're doing, once you are dedicated, that is what it calls for, dedication to what you're doing. Dedicate yourself to what you're doing. They say if you love what you're doing, you will not work one day. Love what you're doing. Be proud of it and put it out there. And you'll see the differences. KAMS Hideout. When KAMS Hideout started, they had a few tables out in the open. Big open yard. A few tables and covered with beach umbrellas and makeshift chairs. That's how KAMS Hideout started. Some of my friends call it Cemetery Cove. Big up yourself, Shashi. Nia in China. You had a birthday the other day. Happy 50th, my brother. Right? And it gradually, every time somebody comes to KAMS place, they say, what? Something else is added. What? You've done a lot of work. And you just keep dedicating yourself to what you're doing and you do it. And eventually you will become a brand. Tell anybody I say that. You will become a brand. Take the opportunity. Some of us did not have the opportunity to make a business pitch to get grant funding or loans. I think this is a grant. Right? So go down there the 1st of May. Encourage your children to go down. Go. We have to show the world that we are capable of managing businesses. We are capable of conceptualizing businesses and bringing them to growth and development, to maturity. Right? So keep that in mind. Good. That out of the way, let me also say to you that the 12 Baskets Project, that's what I call it, 12 Baskets. The 12 Baskets Project, that is Lynette and Maureen from Golden Grove. You will know those beautiful senior ladies. Well, I don't know if they approve of me calling them seniors, but they're beautiful big girls. One of them have, well, let me not even say that. Sometimes you have to hold your breath. I know an offspring is looking here. So, good morning, Novella. Yes, Maureen and Lynette of the 12 Baskets Project is inviting seniors to a health fair tomorrow is Saturday. Yes, they're inviting seniors to a health fair at the Grove Haslington, or Golden Grove Haslington Community Center on the Golden Grove Public Road there tomorrow. The health fair starts at 11 in the morning. Health fair and luncheon. So go down there at the health fair and luncheon hosted by Maureen and Lynette of the 12 Baskets Project, and get your blood pressure tested, get your eyes examined, and so on. Seniors only. Seniors only. So go down there from 11 o'clock. KAMS TV is going to try to go down there and bring you a little footage, a little insight into what is happening. And I, again, want to congratulate Maureen and Lynette for reaching out to the community and giving back as they have started. I think late last year, or was it early this year, I think those two ladies had a big luncheon again. Was it a Christmas luncheon or was it a birthday luncheon? But they came together, they collaborated, and they did this for the community. And here again, they're doing it again. Understand this. Here's a good example that black people could collaborate. Our ancestors collaborated and they bought villages across this country. They left us legacy, right? And I'm so happy when this kind of effort continues, with our people collaborating to be of service to humanity and service to their own, service to our own. Good? So, shout out to Lynette and Maureen of the 12 Basket Project, and we are going to be down there. KAMS will be down there at about 11 o'clock tomorrow to bring you guys update as to what is happening. I was actually expecting a representative of Vipada G on the program this morning so that they could have shared some more information with us about this business conference. I don't know, you know, young people, remember it's a youth committee, so maybe the youths are still asleep. That's on the lighter side. People do sleep. Young people like to sleep until sunrise. My grandmother and my mother and son never ever allowed me to sleep and let the sun raise on you and say, right? They said, don't let the sun raise on you. You just be mashed up. Everybody walking on you since they wake up before board wife. And you lie down. Sometimes you lay down from back. Sometimes you're sleeping in your living room. They say, house don't smile in the night. Everybody just find a corner to sleep. So there you are on your back, right? Cocker's bag covered with a piece of sheet or sheet where your parents throw off the bed after a while and so on. You benefit from that. And you sleep until sunrise. Well, everybody don't wake up. All them women in the house walking past you, the petticoat swinging and so on. You're bound to wake up lazy. And maybe that's why we got so much damn lazy people in the society. A lot of our young people sleep way past the time, quite frankly. But that again is a lighter side. Let's talk about our business this morning. We are 5:55, and I know we can go to 1,000 this morning. Keep sharing. Right? Keep sharing. We got to get the message out. We have to make it a habit to share. Keep sharing. Don't tell me you share already. There's nothing wrong with sharing 10 times, 20 times. You just keep sharing. You don't have to pay to share. Right? But more you share, more people will get alerted. More people will join the program. More people will get educated. More people will become woke. And that's how you contribute to the revolution. Right? That's how you contribute to change, because education is supposed to change attitudes. And when people get to know more and more and more about all the negatives that's happening in this country, right, they will pay more attention and become more aware. And, you know, they might very well decide that it is time we do something about this nonsense. We can't continue like this inevitably. Right? God. Change comes from education. Let us help to educate you and educate the nation, and you help others to get educated. Now, several things to talk about this morning. Let's start with Mr. Jordan. Last night I discussed it. Yesterday I posted that Mr. Jordan was arrested at Soku. He went to make his usual report to show his presence as they think. Because remember, in that became matter, Mr. Jordan appeared in court, was placed on $3 million bail. He must be written in the history books of one of the few, if any, other minister of government or former minister of government to be placed before the court and placed on $3 million bail for a matter that involved his behavior, quote unquote, his behavior in office. Because this issue with BK originated from Mr. Jordan performing his duties as instructed by cabinet, right? And so he has to be in the history books as one of the persons, former ministers, who was following instructions of cabinet, a government which is served, being placed on $3 million bail. Many drug barons in this country have not paid $3 million bail when they are caught with drugs, right? Many of them are out there on bail on hundreds of thousands of dollars bail, on $1 million, perhaps $1.5 million, but many of them have never ever paid $3 million bail. But here is this former public servant, or gentleman who was giving his service to this society, appearing in court in a government-related matter and placed on $3 million bail. Not only was he placed on $3 million bail, but he was instructed that he has to report to SOCU, a special organized crime unit, headquarters here, once monthly to show that he is still in the jurisdiction. And so yesterday he made that regular visit to show that he's still in the jurisdiction, knowing that he has to attend court today. Instead of it going the usual run-of-the-mill way, they detained him, saying that he was being detained in investigation in relation to the investigation of another matter involving land. I want you all to note, the PPP has been hounding former APNU AFC officials, and in particular Mr. Jordan, over land issues. Right? And so this is not a case of pure governance and holding former ministers accountable and so on. This is a case of revenge and vindictiveness. The lands that they had their eyes on prior to leaving government, and after leaving government with the hope of getting back into office, there are lands that they have set eyes upon to give to their friends and cronies. And because those lands were given out to people who were not their friends and cronies before they got back into office, they got blood in the eyes. Right? They got blood in the eyes. They want to see the demise of Mr. Jordan. They want to see the demise of Mr. Jordan. And so they will continue to harass him unless something is done. Like I say, the PPP likes when you suffer in silence. They like when you suffer in silence. And the usual thing, the good thing to do is make your voices loud. Sound your voices loudly, so people know that they're coming at you. So people understand why they're coming at you. And so people, like I said, educated can come to your defense. Mr. Jordan has to sound his voice more in public and talk about why the PPP is hounding him. The people we serve in cabinet with must also come out and sound their voices in defense of Mr. Jordan, because he was following instructions from that very cabinet. Right? He saw the APNU AFC. The APNU AFC must stand in defense of Mr. Jordan, and most importantly for me, black people must stand in defense of one of their own. Right? Black people must stand in defense of one of their own, because the other people are doing it. The other people are doing it. Right? The shark crook was charged for all kinds of things while he was finance minister for the PPP. After they lost the election, he jumped on a plane and he went to Dubai. Jumped on a plane and went to Dubai. Was brought back here, placed before the court, but never placed on bail for $3 million. As a matter of fact, his case never got heard. Because as far as I remember, all kinds of shenanigans took place to delay the trial. Right? The people were standing beside him. And none of them faced a day in court to see their cases to the logical conclusion. None of them faced a daytime in jail. None of them were placed on $1 million, much less $3 million bail. But they keep going after Mr. Jordan, because he is the man who had to sign the vesting orders and so on. Oh, is your signature there in these documents? Is you give where we land? Is you sell out we land? Is you put a spoke in we wheel? We can't get for do the run-ins like we the planet. We're going to make you an example. And that's what's happening. Right? However, Mr. Jordan is going to go to court today. I don't know how that matter will proceed. I doubt whether it will come to a conclusion today. They usually find all kinds of reasons to delay it and continue the stress, because they want to keep you under stress and strain. And that stress and strain has really been affecting the gentleman's health, according to what I understand. Right? So the faster this case could conclude, the better for him health-wise. But they're recognizing that this case may not even stand in court, are already plotting another avenue to stress him out. And people have to be aware. And like I said, stand up and defend your people. Stand up and defend your people. It's 7 hours 52. 6 hours, 628 viewers. I know we can make 1,000, so keep sharing. Keep sharing. And dependent on the number, I might do over time. Because I did say we have a lot to talk about. And that lot which we have to talk about most likely will require more than the time we have. And so if we're going to get overtime and you will get a call and so on, you best ensure this number gets to 1,000. Right? It's Free Talk Friday. I'm taking my time. I'm not in any rush. I'm not in a rush. I'm hoping too that the people from Ipadaji will eventually make contact before the program wraps up, because I really want them to share with you and share with viewers what this thing is really about, this African Business Conference, Youth African Business Conference. And I want to encourage you viewers also, to encourage your youngsters, encourage your children to join in the mornings, Buxtonia morning time, so that they can share it with their friends and we can meet a wider number, a larger audience, and more young people. Because one of the failings I recognize in this society is that young people are not attuned to what is happening in the society. Ask them about all the Beanie Man show and the Boja Banton and the Dexter Daps and so on. They can tell you about that. But ask them about real current affairs. Right? Ask them about real current affairs. And you come to realize how lacking they are. And programs like these you have to use to help them to understand the issues, to get a view to the issues. Many of us parents are not most times comfortable sitting and having a conversation with our children about what's happening in the society and so on. Sometimes we don't have that relationship with our children. But there are programs like these out there that you can point them to, that they can have a listen to, and therefore start formulating ideas in their heads and in their minds. So point them, encourage them. It wouldn't cost you anything to send the link to them in the morning. It's what mommy sending me now. It's what daddy's sending me now. She always send me something. Let's see it. Right? And the very discourses on these programs might be able to help to open up a channel of communication for you with your youngsters. Because when they hear about certain issues, they might want to get clarity and they will ask questions. And so you open up that opportunity for discussion with them. That's my encouragement to you. Now, Bar Jagdeo said, the NIS is bankrupt. And because of its bankrupt state, it won't be able to offer increased emoluments, increased benefits to its contributors. Not now, not in the near future, maybe never under the PPP. Now, the first thing everybody is asking me, how this man could get a temerity to look people in the eyes and say that NIS is bankrupt, when he is the one responsible for the bankrupt state of NIS. He didn't only say NIS is bankrupt, but he said the NIS is facing the financial challenges it is facing because of the contraction of the sugar industry, because the AP and UAFC continued to close down some sugar estates, some factories in the same line that Jagdeo had started. So he's blaming part of the problem. He's blaming the financial issue at NIS on the Granger administration decision to reduce the number of sugar estates and focus on a few that will be real productive and efficient. Now, those of you who know, will know for starters, the closure of sugar estates started under Bar Jagdeo, started under the PPP government. That's number one. Number two, the decimation, the destruction of the financial foundation of NIS was overseen by the Bar Jagdeo administration. There are two financial institutions, if I can call them that loosely, in this country that were standing on firm ground. One is the National Insurance Scheme, because they had billions of dollars in reserve. And two, the New Building Society. Right? Two, the New Building Society. Jagdeo and his cohorts intended to raid the coffers of both of those institutions to get capital to enrich themselves. NIS money was used to invest with the friends and cronies of Bar Jagdeo in the Berbice River Bridge. Hundreds of billions. To date, NIS might be the only investor that has not received a penny in dividends. They get last draw. They are the biggest investor, but they get last call on the profits and assets of the bridge. That is the kind of agreement that Jagdeo and the Short Crook and all of them formulated for the establishment of the Berbice River Bridge. Everybody else can get money. If that business is to collapse, everybody else gets to reclaim from what is there. NIS gets the last opportunity. Right? NIS money was involved in the CLICO debacle. Remember CLICO collapsed around the Caribbean? A whole lot of people's lives went into disarray because of the pension plans, investment and so on just disappearing in thin air. While the principals of CLICO was buying prime property and so on in the US, Florida and so on. Jagdeo oversaw that fiasco again. Up until now, there are lots of people who were supposed to be repaid by CLICO through an arrangement with the government and so on. Many of those people have not seen a blind sentence yet. My understanding is NIS's money was also used to finance places like La Parcan, if I remember clearly. One caller asked me if it is true that Bakewell at some point in time had borrowed money from NIS. I don't know that for a fact. I tried doing some research on that. I have not been able to get very far with that. But there are lots of private entities, friends of the PPP, that were able to access capital through NIS. You see, the NIS used to take the contributors' monthly, yearly, whatever contributions, and the board of management used to decide on how to invest it to turn a profit so they grow the wealth of the NIS. And so when Jagdeo decided that he was going to go after NIS money, the board advised against investing of that money in the bridge. And he went after them. Luncheon was the chairman of the board at the time, I think, if I remember clearly. But NIS money was utilized and invested. The guy over at New Building Society, NBS, what's his name? Stood his ground. Refused to partake. Fought them tooth and nail. What it resulted in? Himself and several senior managers being charged with fraud and all kinds of things. Where's Nanda Kishore Gopal? Wicked soul. I haven't heard of him for a while. All of them concocted a plan and jeopardized those managers' livelihood and jobs. Arjun among others. Right? And the board of management stood up. At NIS, they might have been facing the same fate. But it just shows how far the wicked and vindictive PPP was prepared to go to have their own way. So they're the ones who are responsible for bankrupting the NIS. Not no contracted sugar industry. The sugar industry was expected to contract anyhow. But if you destroy the capital base of any entity, public or private entity, in the long run, they will collapse. They will collapse. Because they don't have that capital base on which to continue to invest and expand and grow. And that is what has happened with the NIS. Now, who done it? Jagdeo and his cronies. Who should fix it? Jagdeo and his cronies. It is not good enough to sit down and say that the NIS is now bankrupt and therefore cannot offer improved benefits to its subscribers. Fair enough, recognize the problem, but fix it. What's the fix? Ghana is now an oil-producing nation. I mean, again, we're basically saying take the nation's money and fix this problem which you created. In other jurisdictions, people like Jagdeo should have been before the courts and their assets seized and sold on the open market to reclaim this money. Just as though they're hounding former Minister of Finance Jordan. Somebody should be hounding these wretches. Place a lien on their personal property to reclaim public property. But that is not going to happen. But these very corrupt and criminal people are now in government with access to hundreds of billions of dollars through the petroleum production, profit sharing or whatever they call it. Take some of that money and put it into NIS. Whether you call it a grant, whether you call it recapitalization, whatever you want to call it. But some of that oil money ought to be taken. It's the citizens' money. Use it for the citizens' welfare, especially the senior citizens who have already contributed to this country. You know what it is to give your all. Give all your youth, all your millionaires to serving your country and contributing to a basket that you expect will help to provide for you in your latter days, only to be told when you have come to that point of retirement, the basket is empty. Which caring government will do that and allow that to happen? Especially now that you have access to our resources. Take the money, 10 million, 20 million, whatever it is that is required. Even if you have to put it in tranches, recapitalize, refinance the NIS with the oil money. But I like to say, don't hold your breath, it's not going to happen. Because they got different plans to the oil money. They got plans of building hotels and airstrips in faraway places to ship cocaine. And maybe to escape the day of judgment when it shall come. They're building airships and so on in faraway places where they can have their private jets and so on secluded. So when the Ratacan comes, because with this kind of behavior, it is expected that the Ratacan will come. They can quickly go to the safe havens in the east and fly out to an unknown destination. That's what they're interested in. Maybe even building bunkers to store their cocaine and illicit funds. But what will really serve the people is them taking some of that money and reinvesting it into NIS. So that NIS can provide the kind of benefits that its subscribers warrant. But they're not going to do it. Because Guyanese are not going to stand up as a bloc, as a nation, and say we're standing in defense of our citizens, we're standing in defense of our seniors, we're standing in defense of good governance and accountability. We're not going to do it. We're divided in our struggles. Why do you think Jagdeo could feel comfortable going and tell them in Borbis is because the APLU shut down sugar estates that this situation has developed at NIS. The Borbisians don't have brains, they don't read, they're not literate, or because Jagdeo knows that they will just sit down and listen to that crap and then start repeating it instead of really interrogating the situation and coming to their own conclusion. That is why education should make a difference. That is why we have to try as much as possible to get the word out there. Share the life. Share the life. People must be aware of what is happening. And social media is a platform. It's an avenue by which people become aware. Share the life. Now, Jack the Honest Cronies broke up the financial foundation for NIS. It was the AP and UAFC, again under the leadership, financial leadership of Jordan. Right? Under the financial leadership of Jordan, that took leadership to try to fix NIS. Otherwise, NIS might have been under long before now. And so I'm referring to an article in 2016. I think so, I can't remember. Sometimes I don't remember dates. Right? But within a year, let's say, because by September 2016, the coalition had a plan to rescue NIS. But we hear that coalition ain't do none for nobody. We hear that coalition ain't do none for nobody. Because nobody was paying attention to the coalition working to fix these, I would say, socio-economic issues for the quote-unquote poor Guyanese. People were looking for individual and personal handouts. And since they didn't get individual and personal handouts, the coalition didn't do anything. But here in 2016, we are being told that government replaces NIS billions lost through CLICO investment. Right? Almost 180,000 beneficiaries of National Insurance Scheme can now breathe a sigh of relief with the government's commitment to replace billions of dollars invested in the Colonial Life Insurance Company and were imperiled when the insurance company went bankrupt. So by September 2016, government had taken the decision that, listen, NIS lost billions of dollars in the CLICO debacle, and we will fix it. We will try to help NIS to stand on firmer ground. And in so doing, we're going to secure the benefits of 180,000 approximately beneficiaries of the National Insurance Scheme. Minister of Finance Winston Jordan, on behalf of the government of Ghana, signed a debenture agreement with the NIS for an aggregated value of $5.6 billion. So in just about a year of being in government, the APNU recognized this issue has long-reaching consequences and decided they were going to work to fix it. And they signed with the NIS a debenture agreement, when combined, will result in NIS getting back $5.6 billion. The minister said at the signing of the agreement and handing over of the 20 debentures, which will cover the period January 1, 2016 to January 1, 2036, are in keeping with the current government's commitment, while it was in opposition, that everything should be done to recover the capital invested. Each will be redeemed on January 1 of each year. The first will be redeemed in January 2017. The present government, that's a quote, the present government, while in opposition, did signal that this situation could not continue, that it was untenable. A resolution to this effect, that the then government should do what it can to help NIS get back their money, was actually passed in Parliament but nothing else was done, the minister said. NIS currently has approximately 50,000 pensioners and more than 130 contributors. It has been faced with rising admin and other costs, which include payments for pensions and other benefits to contributors, exceeding collections. Quote, I think most of you know the story of NIS. They deficit and actually eating into their capital to meet payments. So in keeping with our promise at the time, the cabinet met, reviewed some options that the Minister of Finance presented to them and agreed to an option for the NIS to get back their money, the minister explained. Meanwhile, Minister Jordan pointed out that the money that will be paid to the NIS is not a loan, but rather an effort to strengthen the agency, even while as close as possible what they invested in CLICO. If by some miracle we were able to recover anything on behalf of NIS, it will go directly to the consolidated fund. But this is a final agreement to NIS. So for NIS, it's a happy day for them, Jordan noted. While highlighting the social and economic cost of the payment to the scheme, the minister urged caution when dealing with the public's money. Quote, at all times, especially when you're dealing with other people's money, you have to be very cautious. It's a sad day for the taxpayers of Guyana because it is the taxpayers who have to bear these sets of payments over the next 20 years. And in excess of $5.89 billion will be diverted to meet these payments. Just consider what that kind of money could have done for other areas, be it wages, infrastructure, or other running costs of the government, the minister said. The Bank of Guyana is the agency responsible for managing repayments to policyholders who suffered when CLICO collapsed. According to Dr. Gobin Ganga, governor of the bank, as of July 31st, 2016, $6.9 billion have been paid to a number of policyholders, related party, and organizations. 8,882 checks valuing more than $6 billion have been collected, and 2,881 checks valuing almost $133 million remain unprocessed, awaiting various policyholders. Good. I will stop there. But the long and short of this is that just within a year of being in office, the APNUSC government decided, look, the current situation of NIS, they're going to run into some serious problems if we don't take steps to fix it. And so they made this agreement that over a 20-year period, NIS will recover $5.8 billion from the coffers of the state, despite the fact that that money was imperiled under the Jaguar administration through investments in CLICO. And so Jaguar is here telling people that NIS is bankrupt because of bad investments made or bad decisions made to close down sections of the sugar industry. These are the facts. They're there. Facts don't duck and hide. They stand the test of time. These are the facts. And so Jaguar must address those facts and really say to his followers, cult members, intellectually lazy folks, how he intends to fix this situation, especially given the fact that they created it. Right? There's a blueprint there. Every year on the first day of the year, for 20 years, NIS is expected to get a certain amount of money from the consolidated fund, from the coffers of this country. But the question is whether or not that is enough. And the AP and UFC administration entered into that arrangement without seeing a cent of oil money. This current administration, this installed cabal, has access to hundreds of billions of dollars coming from our oil production, or rather oil extraction. I am sure they can do better. I am sure they can do better. It is now 8 hours 18. We are at 650 viewers. we are 350 short, 1,000. What will it be? The lines are open. 6225933 is the number to call. Call and let's talk the thing. I want to bring to your attention that there's a bully operating under the cloak of this administration at the Ministry of Local Government. His name is Jermaine Durant. Any of you all know Jermaine Durant? The man used to live in Moore Haslington area. Jermaine Durant now works at the Ministry of Local Government. I don't know in what capacity. But I know that he has been using the cover of the office of the Ministry of Local Government to bully local government and cooperative officers around this country. Not so long ago, he had a run-in with Rodwell Lewis. Rodwell, I think, is the chairman of the Plaisance Paranam NDC there, over vending space for some friend of his and squatting on lands in the NDC. And he gave Rodwell Lewis a run of his life, threatened him on all kinds of things. I don't know the end of that matter. But recently he started again verbally attacking and threatening the life of the secretary of a cooperative on the East Coast. We recognize that the number that the call was made from is first and foremost the number of the Ministry of Local Government in one instance. And Durant proceeded to instruct the secretary of the co-op, for which the local government ministry has no authority, or no local government officer has authority, to allow squatters, in particular a specific squatter, to occupy the co-op's land without permission, or he is going to wipe the secretary out. You hear that? He's going to wipe the secretary out. And so there are threats on the life of the secretary of this co-op being made by Jermaine Durant of the local government ministry. And so since I know the Prime Minister and others are listening, or they have their listeners, I am calling on the authorities. We are calling on the authorities to have an investigation into the behavior of this local government officer, whatever his position, and help him to understand that he has no business in the management of co-ops in this country, nor the management of lands held by co-ops. And he should cease and desist from this behavior, because at the end of the day, they will be held accountable if they get the opportunity to be held accountable. Call your life. Thank you for holding. Good morning.
Good morning, Brother Kadaki. Good morning to all the viewers and listeners. Kadaki, this NIS situation, it makes my blood boils. First of all, I've never actually worked in the private sector and the public sector for too long, because most of my adult life I've been self-employed. So I wouldn't say I've made much of a contribution to NIS. But I think that people, Guyanese citizens, Guyanese workers in the whole, they need to be made aware that NIS monies, this is not like a pension, this is not a token, this is not of the sort. This is money that they would have directly from the salaries for the hard-earned salaries directly contributed to this NIS here. So if these few money that is like a bank account, they would put the money into the NIS whether they like it or not. So they've contributed this money to the NIS. So these people's money, this is the workers' money. And these people, this PPP government, they have decided to jump and take out the monies from this NIS fund and to fund other things that will benefit them. And not only they did that, they decided, even though the NIS monies that paid for like 90% of the Barbies River Bridge, like everyone is saying, they're not even getting nothing back for it. They're not the people who contributed maybe 5 or 10%, they're getting everything. But the NIS, they're not getting no profit off of this, nothing at all. They're not even getting back their money. The capital that they're injected into this project. So this is plain daylight robbery, and I think that we as Guyanese people, we should exhaust all of the possibilities. Even the courts, you know, whether we're going to marching on the streets in protest, and to a certain extent, militancy. I'm talking real militancy, because this is ridiculous. I can't believe, and these dudes are getting away with it. They're getting away with it. You're gonna take the money out of the people's money out of the NIS and decide to do it to your own. That is a crime, right? That's called aiding and abetting. If they do something like that in any other business, in any other sector in Guyana, I would be charged for aiding and abetting, or whatever you want to call it. But that is a crime, and I'm really mad about this, because I really do think that we should be marching to the courts. We should be marching on the streets, you know, and express some sort of militancy, some sort of serious militancy about the situation, because these dudes are getting away with it all the time. And now we have the oil money, and the oil money is coming, and like you said, it's like, even if you recommend they use oil money to help to fund the NIS back in put back some money in the NIS, you go amok for the government. You're writing on the government again. But the thing is that if we don't do that with the oil money, try to help the NIS, it's going to go someplace else. It's going to go into the pockets. Excuse my language. It's going to go into the pockets. I'm really mad about this, because somebody needs to do something about it. We need to be marching to the court on this, because these people, and the guy is a liar. Because he knows what was done with the NIS money, and he's trying to blame the coalition government. So we need to be marching the court or start exposing some sort of militancy with the situation. Man. We need to stop sitting down and accepting this crap. Really, we need to do something about this. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Lines remain open. 6225933 is the number to call. Let's talk the thing. It's Free Talk Friday. Voice note. The one was a false. Nothing there. Lines are open. 6225933. Call and let's talk the thing. Call it live. Good morning. Call it live. Good morning. morning, are you morning? How are you doing? Happy Labor Day. Welcome to another program of Buxton, your morning time. It is now 7 hours 26. I'm not late, I'm deliberate. Yes, good morning again. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're not at 500 yet. Why? Told y'all won't see my face until we get to 500 in the mornings. It's not 500 yet. Share. Start sharing, please. Who's Denzio? Valmed. Anthony Brown, good morning. Dexter Benjamin, that's up. Selector Travis, big up yourself all the time. Selector Travis, you gotta come and play some music at KAMS place. We got a talent night, a DJ clash coming up. So you gotta come, Selector Travis, and come and show us your skill. Roy Webb, welcome. Karen McPherson, you're welcome to the live. It's another day in the struggle, right? Just another day in the struggle. As long as we have life, we have hope, and as long as we have hope, we have to continue to strive and struggle to ensure that our hopes and dreams are realized. God, everything starts with a dream. What do you dream of doing with your life? What do you dream of becoming? What do you dream of your nation? What do you dream of your leaders? Right? It all starts with a dream. What's your dream this morning? Well, I'm dreaming that we're going to get a society where people hold their politicians more accountable. I'm dreaming that we're going to get a society where everybody recognizes that this struggle is not for one set of people, but for everyone. That's my dream. My dream is a Guyana that recognizes that it is one people, one nation, one destiny, but not one Guyana. You have to understand the difference of those two terminology. Right? One is all encompassing. It says, look, we are one people. Yes, all of us, regardless of our ethnicities, we are one people. Right? We are one nation, a nation of Guyanese, regardless of where we originated. We are one nation. And we will end up in the same place, meaning we have one destiny. Our destiny are bound together. Your destiny affects mine, and mine affects yours. And so we have a common destiny, like it or not. Right? And that destiny is either a developed and progressive Guyana or a Guyana that is a failed state. It's as simple as that. Right? That's our destiny, you know. Our destiny is either we have a nation of rich or a nation of well-endowed, a nation of satisfied people who are living comfortably and respect the rule of law and will not have to do crime to survive, to put food on the table, etc. A society that is law-abiding as against lawless, right? That's our destiny. But we will only get to that destiny if we recognize that the destiny of each and every individual group, if you want to call it that, in this country is intertwined. We're linked together, inevitably, right? So those, as I like what GHK Lal said on Politics 101 sometime last week. The 1% of the 1%, which believes that they're sitting on top of the world, must understand that their destiny are tied to the other 99%. Case in point, look around the world. Not that I believe that Saddam Hussein was the worst leader, because the evidence shows that the US had their own agenda, like they had with Muammar Gaddafi and others, like they had with David Granger and others. Right? But look at those, look around the world and see those leaders who tell themselves that they've been sitting on top of the world with the people's resources. And how quickly the people decided, you know, that we're not going to stand for this crap anymore. We will bring your house of cards tumbling down because we want our just share. Right? Just over the weekend, we learned that Fahy, or Faye, whatever his name is, the premier, is he the premier of that British territory, was caught with his harbor master. My choice of word is some harbor administrator or something. These fancy things mean the same thing. In the US, about to collect some dirty money. They, I'm sure, were sitting on top of the world and tell themselves that they're big and better than the ordinary rank and file citizens of their country. Good? They're now in US custody. But the reality is, we as a people, we have to be determined within ourselves that we must be determined within ourselves that we are the makers and shapers of our destiny. Another 1% of the 1%. And so recognize that your struggle is intertwined with my struggle. If I can't put food on the table for my children, it means that there's a problem in the society. Because multiply me by, even if you say 25% of the 750,000 that we have here as a population, you're going to come to realize that it's a bigger problem than me not being able to put food on the table for my children. Because what will happen is that my children are going to become, or likely to become, and I'm using me as an example, not that that is my reality, but I recognize by any stroke of luck or bad luck, whatever you want to call it, any of us could find ourselves in that position. A family that can't provide for its children, in most cases can't protect its children also. Can't protect its children from the ills of the society, where big money gets to buy sex, where big money gets to buy abuse, where big money gets to buy police protection, where big money gets to buy the protection of politicians, where big money gets to buy lawlessness. And so when a family can't take care of its own, is that we're going to have a whole lot of social consequences to deal with. Right? So you find your children are going to be bought and lured into prostitution, and it starts easily. The well-to-do neighbor, or the neighbor that is connected to the well-to-do businessman who has runnings in the interior, that is sex trafficking, or he has a bar in Georgetown that is sex trafficking, strip club, etc., after dark business, sees your nice, pretty and upcoming teenage daughter or even son, and decides that this one is prime for the market, and since their parents can't provide for them, we're going to be nice. And in our niceness, they will get a 2-piece chicken. Some people don't have any order. I don't know how to deal with these folks. Y'all give me 1 minute, let's shout at this man through my window. 1 minute. Bucket. I'm on my program. You know, I am doing program up to 9 o'clock. All day yesterday, you monkeying yourself. Yeah, up to 9. You coming back? Good. Yeah, y'all forgive me. I know that some people can tell me it's unprofessional and so, but sometimes it has got get down to some people's level. So we're talking. So the neighbor starts by enticing your little girl child or boy child with a one-piece chicken or a two-piece chicken, a 500 here, a 1,000 here. Well, 500 and 1,000 small things now. If you want to impress them, if you want, okay, Ricardo, see, I'm not angry at the bucket. I just like to prank talk with them sometimes. Listen, the challenges are real, but you have to respect the hustler's device here. A one-piece chicken, a two-piece chicken, a combo, a burger, a 500, a 1,000, a 5,000. Well, they got the nasty-looking $2,000 note and so on. And so they entice your youngsters, right? Hey, we're going on. You going to school? You got lunch today? No, bye, mommy. Give me a $200 things tight. All right, man. You know $200 makes sense. Hold on to this. I'm going to pass later and I'm going to bring lunch here by the school. And that's an arrangement that doesn't have the sanction of the parents. But the neighbor is using his connections to influence your child. Because your child finds his or herself in the upper percentile of the 99% that's suffering in this country. And the next thing you know, your child is leaving to school or for school, but is suddenly going out for rides on exotic vehicles and so on. Or if it's not happening during school days and school hours, it's happening on weekends. And especially in homes where the single mother is working a security job and her boss insists that she must work the night shift. And so when you're at work thinking you got to go because you're making a sacrifice to put bread on the table for your children, and you think that they're soundly asleep at home, they're actually out at the influence of the well-connected neighbor. And when you catch yourself, it's almost too late. You either have a pregnant teenager or you have a deviant teenager. But multiply that experience of one family with more than half of the population, and you will very well come to realize that more than half of our youngsters are at risk of becoming deviants because of this crazy society that we live in, this unjust society. And if more than half of your young people are deviants or are likely to become deviants, are exposed to the possibility of becoming deviants, imagine the society that you will eventually live in. And so even if you're well-to-do and you're well-connected, just imagine the impact of a large number of young people running amok. Check in Georgetown. One of the biggest menaces in Georgetown, I mean, Zacchaeus calls every morning and he talks about the bicycle riders in Georgetown and those who are liming under the clock and so on. I want to tell Zacchaeus the majority might appear to be black people because black people are for the greater part being discriminated and more affected by this phenomenon. So you would see more black faces. But other ethnicities are very well involved and are very well affected, and that is why we must recognize it's one destiny because we're one nation. Right? So you have a set of marauding, if I can call them that, cyclists, motorcyclists and pedal cyclists around the city, and there are many. But look at their age, and you will come to recognize that that's the same age of people I'm talking about who are exposed to becoming deviants because society does not permit their parents and guardians to take care of them, take adequate care of them, provide adequately for them. If I can't eat 3 square, if I can't wear comfortably It doesn't have to be brand name. If I can't sleep comfortably, and I'm influenced by television, acculturation, they call it. I'm influenced by the foreign culture and television bombarding me every single day. I recognize that, listen, there's a better quality of life. Teenagers at my age are living a better quality of life. And why do I have to be condemned to this poverty-stricken nature of living? I'm going to go out there and I'm going to make my bed lighter, softer. And so I will do what it takes. I'm going to sound a little lawless here, but y'all forgive me. Because I want to drive it home. I'm going to do what it takes. So if I see my vagina as a tool of accessing the good life, I will use it. I don't care who says what. If I see my anus as the tool of getting what I want, I will use it. I don't care who says what. If I see my hands with a gun, a knife, a cutlass, a weapon of any sort that's giving me what I want to make my life easier, I don't care who says what. And so you have a society where the young people are not batting an eyelid or so. We say that they're bold, they're emboldened in their lawlessness. But that's the society that they've been brought up in. That's the society that they've been exposed to. Right? And so, like the title says, laboring in vain, our parents, single parent another, because don't think these issues only affect single parent homes. Right? There are nuclear families that can't provide for their family members. And that in itself drives a rift in between parents, adults, and children, and you have a family now that is malfunctioning. And so you're faced with the same issues. And so you might have well-meaning parents, but they're all laboring in vain. Not because they are not capable of socializing their children to be good citizens of society, but because society itself is exposing families and children to the dangers that I'm discussing here. So laboring in vain. Parents gone out there, mother gone out there, thinking that we have to make the ultimate sacrifice to keep our children warm. But when they get to the job sites, they themselves are exposed. Right? They themselves are exposed. Well, Olney Barnett, I am not interested in talking around the issue. I call it for what I want. I call it for how I see it. And I give thanks to that boldness that the Creator's gifted me with. Right? They go to the job sites where they're supposed to be making a better day for their children. And there they're laboring in vain again because remuneration is not in keeping with the job requirements. Work conditions are not in keeping with the labor laws. And so they themselves on the work site become deviants. Oh, this money they pay me really, it makes sense. This money could barely pay the rent. Our eating, I got to take a thing under the table. I got to take a thing under the table. I got to turn a blind eye to the wrong that is being perpetrated. And I know it is wrong. And I have the responsibility of remedying the situation. So when you look at the guy in the police force, you look at the guy in the defense force, You see a set of hustlers, and we blame them and we curse them out and we say, you know, police are always looking for bribe. One man called into the program the other day and put a certain major of the army in the same lineup with police always looking for bribe or collecting a bribe to turn a blind eye and so on. And we curse them out as professionals. And we curse out the public servants to taking a bribe to do their work and so on and so forth. But the system discriminates. The system forces them into compromising positions. Right? But we are not confronting the system. We are confronting the individuals. We are confronting the signs of a messed up system. But we are not confronting the system. And so we're going to wait until it gets so bad that it can't be saved. Like an infected limb. You just got to cut it off. And that is where our destinies are. All of our destinies are tied up right there. Because unless we use the old adage, a stitch in time saves 9, we're going to lose all. Because it's a pressure bust pipe. And you will awake one morning and realize that somebody has gone total. Or a group of people have gone total. Because they can't deal with the pressure anymore. That's why saying using body parts is a short-term solution. Young people need to think of where they want to be in the next 5 to 10 years. But that's a frustrating thing. When I look around the world and I see youths, I'll give you a very real example just now. I see youths of my age having gone through the same quote-unquote life experiences as me, way ahead of where I am. Ask myself, why should I sit back and accept this nonsense that's happening in my country and try to be or remain in my goody two shoes when I can do bad all by myself and get to a position that might be considered on par with my compatriots around the world. Let me give you what I consider a real example. Look around the world. Look around. Every time we hear Ghana outdoing itself or Ghana doing extremely well on the international athletic and sports circle and so on, right? Every time Ghana does well, where are the athletes situated? Where are the athletes situated? North America, Canada, Europe. And there are people who left these very shores competing among some of the locals and getting a hard time in some cases among the locals. But then they get the opportunity for some reason or other, or somewhere or other, they got relatives or they got connections and they end up in the US and places like that. And they blossom, they burst onto the international scene. Now, I knowing that I used to run alongside Tom Lynch, and I used to give Tom Lynch a very good challenge to the tape. We used to run a millisecond difference. Sometimes he beats me, sometimes I beat him. And Tom Lynch leaves these shores. And a year or two after, Tom Lynch is on the international scene winning gold. And I'm here in this backwater country, sucking salt. Where I want to see myself in 5 years from there. I want to see myself doing well. I want to see myself doing better than the system is allowing me to do. And what are the avenues available for me to do better? Get into the illicit drug trade. Be a mule. Be somebody's sex slave or sex toy. Be somebody's trophy girlfriend. Be somebody's, well, if you got sugar daddy, I guess you gotta get sugar daddy. Be somebody's gigolo. Am I being real? Am I being forthcoming? That's how I see it. That's how I see it. I don't see it any other way. Right? Years ago, they used to say if you want to become a Miss Guyana, the things you have to go through with the franchise owner. But many recognize that becoming Miss Guyana would have opened up avenues for them. Right? Would have opened up avenues to them. And so they say, well, if it's my body parts going to make me Miss Guyana, despite the fact that I am not as beautiful or not as educated, not as talented as the person who will come second runner-up. Give it up. Because after giving it up, I see myself as an executive in the next 5 to 10 years. But it has to start with me giving it up. That's the society we live in. There's the Simmons. I hope you're not offended, but that's the society we live in. And some people realize, listen, sometimes I don't like to say certain things, but because people feel I might be pelting stones at them. Do you know, my God, there's a hole in my stomach right now, you know, because of what I'm about to say. Even in our discipline services, for you to get promoted from one rank to another, you have to be nice. You have to be nice to your superior officers, whether it's your commanding officer, your subordinate officer. You got to be nice. There are many brilliant minds in the Guyana Police Force and in the Guyana Defense Force and in the Guyana Police Prison Service and even in the healthcare sector and in the public service that they can't see they're just due in terms of promotion because they refuse to give it up. And so it's like they're laboring in vain, right? And when they know that they're giving of their best and their best is not recognized and rewarded, then they become lackadaisical. Sometimes it is that frustration which can result in the recovery nurses not giving a heck about a female patient who was left on her own to recover and ended up raped under anesthetic. You see a connection between these things? So our destinies are tied together. They are all tied together. When you have a situation where, and I'm talking about laboring in vain. Some people might not see the connection, but I trust you're seeing the connection. Because today is the holiday for Labor Day in Guyana. Yesterday was the 1st of May, Labor Day around the world, right? But our policy says if the holiday falls on a Sunday, then you observe it on the Monday, you get the day home on Monday. And that is why I don't understand why this live is not 1,000+ persons this morning, because more people are supposed to be home. Did you share enough? That's my question. Have you shared enough? Keep sharing. Because as we go along, the conversations are becoming more indictable. I saw a post yesterday. Union leaders had breakfast with the fat guy. I wonder who ate more than I wonder who ate more than who at that breakfast. Was the host kind enough to allow the guests to have their fill? Or the host was in competition with the guests? for the meals prepared. Right? Well, let's be serious now. You see a particular set of union leaders at breakfast with a fat guy who represents those who control the purse of this nation. Right? They control the NRF. They control the resources. They control basically everything of the society. And so, a chosen few, and when I say a chosen few, either those few were chosen to attend or those few chose to attend. Right? Yes, that's my point. People are not meant to live under those conditions. It's totally unacceptable. But we don't see the other man's struggle as our struggle. And so we don't recognize that our destinies are intertwined. Because when the well-to-do or the middle class tells his or herself that I'm doing well enough, I don't have to study what the nurse is going through, what the doctor is going through. Let them on their own. But then that individual gets sick, or a relative of that individual gets sick and has to go to the public hospital, then they realize where the screw up is. I don't know anything about this family where the young lady was raped, and I'm not keep mentioning this because I want her to relive her misery or her family and relatives to relive that misery. But it's a reality in our society that we have to address. I don't know if they were well-to-do or middle class, and you know. But some well-to-do folks tell themselves, well, everything is safe. But when a relative finds his or herself in a situation like that, then is when they say, oh God, this country is a sickening place. But it was becoming sickening all the time. And we were thinking it is just the poorest citizens' struggle. But it is all of our struggle. It is all of our struggle. So the union leaders are at breakfast with the fat guy. What did they do? What was the breakfast discussion? This should have been a breakfast meeting. This guy just be here, it's Labor Day, y'all come and feel your face. This is Labor Day, y'all come and stuff your stomach at the expense of the taxpayers. This ought to be a breakfast meeting to discuss the way forward. How are we dealing with the collective labor agreement? How is your government, Mr. Fat Guy, proposing to deal with collective bargaining as against the imposition of meaningless, minuscule increases in wages and salaries and better working conditions? That's what we should be talking about at breakfast table. All I saw is that they had breakfast. Well, I could have get breakfast at home. The union leaders could have gotten breakfast at home. But no, they say a mouth is muzzled by the food it eats. And so if you're going to sit down at breakfast with a fat guy, to eat, your mouth full, your stomach bloated, your brain ain't functioning to raise the issues that really concern workers. What are the issues that concern workers? Public servants who are not getting an increase in salaries despite this kleptocratic cabal sharing out the nation's resources in the enclaves of its supporters. Union leaders sitting and rubbing shoulders with a fat guy with the hope of getting a duty-free concession because they want to get rid of the old car that they get, or they want a new vehicle, a new motor vehicle for one of their sons, but it will be bought in their name. Union leaders sitting around the table with a fat guy to get close to power to see which board of management they can be placed on, because being a board member brings you privileges and a hefty stipend. And every time you have a board meeting, you get to stuff your stomach full. But while these things are happening, the common workers who these union leaders are representative of are left to punish poor working conditions, poor wages and salaries, poor representation from the very union leaders sitting at breakfast with the fat guy. So again, laboring in vain. Laboring in vain. The union members are laboring, and before they collect their paychecks, union dues are deducted because of some agency shop fee or something like that they call it. Union dues are deducted to be remitted to the unions led by these clowns sitting around the table at breakfast with the fat guy. And I've not so far been able to adequately represent the workers whose monies are deducted, shortening their already insufficient wages and salaries to fund some of them Cadillac lifestyle and a donkey cart economy. So the workers are laboring in vain. Their representatives are collecting dues to represent them, as a matter of fact, to not represent them. In which society, really and truly, you will find worker, employer as in government relations so strained, assuming that it is strained, at least all the conditions exist for it to be strained. In which society, where all these conditions exist, for a broken relationship between government and employers and the representatives of employers, would you find the representatives of employers sitting at breakfast with the government? Y'all talk to me. It's like your children, you are a parent, and your children has a problem with the next door neighbor. Or you as a husband, your wife got a problem with the next door neighbor. And the next door neighbor is showing no inclination to resolve this problem and inviting you to breakfast. It's the ultimate insult if you accept. And I think that is what we're seeing in this Labor Day period. Where's the solidarity? Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Eh? That's what they're saying on Labor Day. But where is the solidarity? Like I said, the breakfast took place with the fat guy and the chosen few. Where were the other union members? Where were the other union members? Let me ask this. My suspicion is that the other union members, though invited, opted not to attend. That's my suspicion. Because I can't imagine, I mean, I know they're racist and divisive, but I can't imagine that a fat guy functioning as president will invite a section of the labor representatives and leave out another section. I think he would be, what shall I say, smart enough to invite everybody, thinking that some of them won't come. And so let's say everybody was invited. The first thing meaningful and thinking labor leaders will do is start to consult each other. Here, you get invite? Yes. You going? No. Why not? Why? You see how these people treating we workers. Why you want to sit down there with them for? And if you are getting that kind of responses, then you say, you know what? Let us show solidarity for each other. Nobody must go. Nobody must go. And so you show solidarity. You show unity in vision. And united we stand, but divided they're bound to fall. And that is why the workers are not getting justice. Because there's division in the labor fraternity. As a youngster growing up, when sugar got an issue, public servants used to strike with them. When public servants got the issue, sugar used to strike with them. Nurses got an issue, teachers and all of the public servants strike with them. Not now. Every union leader is choosing their fights. Oh, them teachers got an issue, let them try with that. Don't forget. I don't forget certain things. When the teachers were out on the protest line, their union leader said, I don't want solidarity. This is a teacher's issue. The teachers alone will confront it. You know why? Because that union leader is a stooge of the PPP. And that union leader knew that if all of the public servants had come out behind the teachers, then the outcome would have been different. He couldn't call off a strike in 2 days. And so he said, I don't want solidarity from y'all. We're going to deal with the issue. While the teachers are in the sun, I will be in the AC talking with Priya and the others to facilitate my scholarship on my duty-free concession and make plans to rig in the next election so I will remain president and so on. So the teachers were out there laboring in the sun, laboring in vain. And their union rep was having juice and maybe what a restaurant name? New Thriving Special, while talking out to undermine the struggle. Yeah, where's the solidarity? Where's the justice for workers? But nobody is confronting this elephant in the room. No Shopstrode is calling out the union leader to say, I'm ready for strike, and this jackass telling me don't strike. The workers are ready to take the road, and this Uncle Tom saying we shouldn't take the road. No Shopstrode is talking about that, because that Shopstrode wants to remain Shopstrode and in the good book of the leader of the union, so that when the trinkets are sharing, he or she would get their share. Nobody confronting that. Nobody is confronting the fact that the seniors of this country have worked their tails off, made their sacrifices involuntarily so. Let me call it that. Involuntarily so. Because it is not everybody who contributes to the national insurance scheme does it voluntarily. They contribute because the law says that they must contribute. The law says if you earn 5 cents, I think, if you earn 5 cents, 5 cents and above as income, you are compelled to pay NIS contributions. Right? You're compelled to pay NIS contributions. And so there are lots of folks who are contributors or who became contributors to the NIS scheme, not because they really wanted to, but they had to. And so for all the working years, all the youthful years, the middle years, right into retirement, these people's monies have been deducted. And now, when they should be receiving, according to their stores, when I say the stores, according to their contribution, according to how much they saved, they're being told that the NIS is bankrupt. And they can't get improved benefits. And it means if they can't get improved benefits, they are left in a poverty-stricken state. They're left in a disadvantaged state because the benefits that they're receiving in this current economic time cannot necessarily take care of their needs. Let's take, for example, spectacles. You see, I would normally take a spectacle and fling it around the place and say, listen, this thing does work, but I don't like it. They say, right? Now, as an NIS contributor, and let's look cute in it, you know, but as an NIS contributor, I am entitled to spectacle care. Because they say once you start getting the benefit, you're entitled to it until death. Whether you contribute or not after. But I do contribute. I'm an NIS contributor. 10,000 since Noah was a boy. Since I started wearing specs. In fact, I'm lying. When I started wearing specs, the NIS contribution perhaps was about 5,000. And then it moved to 10,000. Oh my God, it has been stuck there for forever. And as you advance in age, have to be changed. Michelle Jones, right? I'm saying that I'm encouraging you, all of you, subscribe to our YouTube page, KAMS TV. Just go look for KAMS TV and subscribe to that page. I'll tell you why later. Right? Go over there and subscribe to our page. So many mornings you can watch a live right there on the page. But let's talk. Right? You're getting about 1/8 from NIS. You still got to find, I mean, you don't buy a pair of spectacles every day or every month. But let's be real. As you advance in age, they say it's lifestyle disease and all that. But many of our folks end up with arthritis. Many of our folks end up with diabetes. Many of our folks end up with heart conditions. After that, I care, right? And so if you were to look at the cost of maintaining yourself in good health versus what you are going to, well, Carolyn is asking about dentures, right? So you all understand what I'm saying? It is as if our seniors labored in vain before you can become qualified for your NIS pension. Let me explain this in case you didn't know. Right? It is 750 contributions to qualify for the basic pension. But your pension at the end of the day is calculated on the best of your last 3 years of employment. For this godforsaken $70,000 a month or $80,000 a month, even $100,000 a month, all the years you were working for $50,000, $60,000 a month, and then you're approaching retirement. And because of that is what your NIS benefits will be calculated on, your NIS pensions. Can you imagine your NIS pension calculated using $100,000? How is that really going to take care of you? Because one assumes that once you reach retirement age, you really and truly shouldn't be looking for employment You should be able to be living off of your pension comfortably. At least those in the US and Canada and Britain and so on gives me that idea. Give me that idea that they live comfortably off their pension. Live comfortably off their pension. That's for contribution. $750,000. If you were to invest $750,000, what will your return on investment be? Assuming, and I'm looking at it this way, it's hypothetical, right? You saved up $1,000 every month you were to make a contribution. And then when you get to the 750 number, where you are qualifying for the basic pension, you take that $750,000 and you invest it. What will your return on investment be? Receive as a basic pension. That's my assumption. The benefit is worse than if you'd save up your money by yourself and invest it. I'm going to tell you, the agency is bankrupt. And you can't get the agency bankrupt. Well, you have to tell Jack, yo, let him take that explanation really and truly. Keep it in bad settlement or stuff it where the monkey stuff the nuts because it ain't making sense. Here is this man who was jeopardized the investment because that is what it is of our seniors. Financial foundation of the NIS. And it has the temerity, the gall, the gumption, the brazenness to look at people. And don't blame me because the money I took and invested in the Barbies Bridge is the best investment they have in its financial standing. How is it the best investment when the coalition government had to sign bonds with this agency to give them money? And then you're saying that this very government that had to take this. You're claiming that when you left office, the NIS had $967 million or something. I'm just pulling these figures. I don't remember because I don't pay attention to this fool. They were in the positive of $967 million. And 5 years later, or 7 years later, they have a deficit. They have a deficit simply because what they were reliant on is what they had. If you got $10, you keep spending from it and you're not earning enough to replenish the $10, eventually it's going to turn zero. It's going to turn zero. And so because you took the NIS money, the capital will give them a constant turnover, short, medium, or large. And so they got to keep drawing on what they. But this man got it. So the advice of the board of those who do the necessary. You take the people money and invest it. He's saying that another government is responsible for them being in the deficit. The very government that had to take steps to ensure that they get a year for the next 20 or 30 years. Because the people who made the sacrifices of contributing, expecting a better day when they retire, are now living in worry. You're going to kill them out faster, stress the skill. And you think those are the only people affected? Again, I'm going to show you where all the survivors benefit. If your parent is a contributor to NIS, and that parent dies, and leave minor children, and the spouse Both the spouse and the minor children are entitled to survivor's benefit. The minor children will get survivor's benefit from whatever age they are until they get to age 18. The spouse will get survivor's benefit from whatever age she is or he is until he or she gets to pensionable age or retirement age. Children and spouses for the last 6 months or more being unable to get any money from NIS. Every time they go, NIS tells them, we don't have money. Come sign this form. Every time they go, money is not available. Come sign this form. What is happening to those survivors for the last 6 months? Some of them got to sell their body parts to eat. Some parents got to sell their body parts for send their children to school. Some of the older women got to sell their body parts to the young thugs, so they could get something on the table. It ain't so nice, but it is nice. People laboring in vain. And people recognizing that everybody's struggle is all of our struggle. Union leaders are sitting around table with the sufferings of the people and smiling big for the camera. How many members the union got? How many, what percentage of those members are you representing? Who is standing up for the elders who have made their contributions with the expectation of a brighter day and now are perhaps in a worse state than when they were employed? Huh? Who is telling the young people that, hey, you see the money of Jaggy or the cronies that can invest in the Bobby's Bridge and the Clico fiasco and all of that, and the elders cannot now get better benefits? Is your ancestral money, and you got to stand up in defense of your ancestors' property. Who is telling them that? Well, I said it this morning. Don't expect the elders to go to the streets and protest this nonsensical situation. Young people got to lead the elders. Justice for our elders. They contributed and they deserve to inherit the fruits of their labor. Young people got to do that. Can't expect them 60 and 70-year-old to go and stand up in the sun who got arthritis, got diabetes, got pinched nerve and all of that. Young people got to lead the struggle. Don't let our elders' labor go in vain. Don't let our labor go in vain. We got to confront this situation. There's no one Guyana. There's one people, one nation, one destiny. And the way things are shaped up right now, the destiny is looking good. It is not too late. We can fix it. Bob Marley said we got to chase those crazy ballheads out of town. How you do it is a matter for you. But the most important thing is that stop thinking that the U.S. is going to come in here like a knight in shining armor and save the day. It might take forever. When the U.S. is finished gorging itself on the wealth of this country and has become overweight also, then they might want to give you the impression that they got your interest at heart. But I can't make a living without foreign nationals threatening their livelihood and their life. And not taking condign action to fix it. Something is woefully wrong in society. Of shopkeepers, the malandros going into people's shop, opening their freezers, breaking up the Guinness meat, cooking it out, and threatening their life. But the generals of the Guyana Defense Force are sitting at Camp Ayangana and wherever else, and not lifting a pin to rectify the situation in Region 1. But allegedly, some of them are traveling to Region 1 and collecting big brown paper bags and instructing ranks to stand up. 6225933 is the number to call. You tune to the Buckstone morning time. It is now 8 hours 32. Come join me Wednesday night. KAMS Place. They got oldies. Come let me hang out. Y'all can afford it? I hope so. But the reality is, people need relaxation. That too is part of your cost of living, relaxation. Entertainment. And with the amount of stress and strain they got in this country, who doesn't need a good night of holy? Good morning.
Yes. Good morning, everyone in the diaspora. I wanna touch in on and add to what you were saying about there is something definitely wrong. Now, you said I say that the universal plan on a year on wage. I'm looking for the
Income.
universal basic income. Universal basic income, the PPP type of planning that they had with the NIS income, it's the same thing for Americans who are listening. Clive Thomas introduced it here in Guyana, but it's a dole. In Holland, you have the same thing. So for Americans who looking for how good this is, we know how good the welfare program in Guyana. Now, Dr. Clive Thomas said he offered $5,000 under that program together with the boss, another $5,000. And here is why. So that'll be 10,000 US per adult age 18 and up. The other 5,000 US for those Americans so we've got $5,000 additional, which we put into a pension plan, and that pension plan investing back into ourselves, but we have so that will solve the NIS bankruptcy problem right there. Now, Jack Deere went to all types of schools and he couldn't figure that out. Right? So now we are paying the Guyanese people to upkeep their own pension plan. We're going to pay them anyway. Right? We're going to give them our money anyway. So we give them our money to invest in their own pension and in their own future. And this money will bring in dividends on the stock market or however we want to do it. Good. And we could also tax it. Well, we leave it up to the Now that's a proposal where we could use the money. Now here's why. Dr. Clive Thomas said that based upon, and that was before he knew that we were going to make $620 million in New York Bank. Now, Dr. Clive Thomas said about a 2 mile by 2025 will be at least $2.4 billion, 400% increase. So if, then surely we can double that from 5 to 10. Because if we're going to increase by 400%, we can at least increase by 1%, by 100%, from 5,000 to 10,000 US. I'll leave the scholars to figure that out. You know, you could have a disease and you keep dealing with the symptom. You got an abscess and you just keep changing the plaster on the abscess. It ain't gonna change the abscess none. To get to the abscess, you got to cut the abscess out. Now, we don't, but the PPP cannot be wrong unless we are allowing them to continue in that wrong, as the allowing all of this nonsense that we talk about every morning on this show. We are allowing. He didn't say them. He said we are on Buxton Morning Show. Pastor Granger is one of those we. Because he says there's nothing to protest about. Harmon is another one. Now, who are these people who are telling the military to stand down? When the PPP install themselves, thousands overseas and hundreds dead. Is he involved in names? Let's narrow it down. Let's get to the root of this abscess. Enough about sugarcoating it and talking about symptoms every morning. Is Vincent Alexander in that lineup? If they are, we need to call their names. Is the Commander Best of the Ghana Defense Force, is he part of it? Which police commanders is Paul Slow part of it? If they are part of it, we need to call them out. Because these are the ones who doing the nodding and the winking and standing down. While they tell the people we must fight. But they're doing something contrary. The people never stood down. Involved in that, we need to tell them, desist from that. We're calling you out. If Granger, we know he was. If Vincent, if Stratman, if Nagamutu, if Ramjatan, if they're all involved in it, then we need to single them out. Because we're going to keep on doing this tiptoe. Hint. We got to stop hinting. But if they can't feel it, then you got to wear it. Because somebody selling.
Oh yes, thank you. I realized there was no song. Don't worry yourself, we good again. Thank you, Coffee. Lines remain open, 6225933 is your number to call. And their voice notes. Let's go, first one. Not loading. So are you laboring in vain on this good Labor Day? That's the question. Will you allow your labor to go in vain? Union leaders are collecting the people's contribution and they're laboring in vain. Connie Live, good morning. Calling you live. Good morning.
Edge of my seat, then you will get tobacco. This is what get bailouts in the outer world. You are there, this industry or this place suffering, you give them a bailout. Why the PPP did not give a bailout? And you see, on the cost of this breaking NIS business, the bankruptcy they're trying to file, they capture Minister Jordan to lock him up again because Minister Jordan, in that statement that you read out at the starting of the show, did come to the aid of NIS. And when Barrett is talking about the people who get laid off from Gaisuku, now in the outer world, people work a longer working life they have than us. In Guyana, it's 55 and 60. So when you take people off a job at 55, the persons will not go into self-employment to the scheme. When the person meets 60 now, then you could you look after them to let their life. Being pensioned, the ability not only to the expectancy that was countries around the world have the pensionable to the world was a pension out now. They could have, he will go and spread propaganda up and get more aggressive AFC followers because to bring it out in the open for the Lawrence and all of them and let the Guyanese illiterate and the pensioners are not going to stand up because when the youth, you just got need more medical in your suffer. There is a percentage who do suffer ailments from early age, some of them born with it. But you more look for sickness in the older age. So it is a race against time with Barrett, and I hope the Guyanese people become awoke and watch at what is going to happen. But we are not prepared to lose our NIS benefit. Because you lose your benefit, where you going and work? Nobody wants old people. In Guyana, old people, soon as they meet the age, oh, you old. Oh, that is an old man. That is an old man. You're going to hear from on a jet down. This thing is a stage 10 cancer for the medical people, but no way it's cancer. This is a stage 10 cancer. Region 1. And when I start working underneath, only to find out. Don't talk. Bye-bye.
Thank you, caller. The lines are made up 6225933 is the number to call. Voice note.
The teachers, they get very, 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 what must I say? The teachers found it protesting against them. And you see, the very mark, like, he is selfish. He's just looking at his side of the taking his side of the cake, and he don't care about them, but they're not seeing it. They're blind towards that. But you know, let them continue support place that they are today. This government don't care about nobody. The persons that they care about is the people. And I was surprised to see teachers went and put back that man there. That man is not for the teachers. That man is a Jaglio Baila.
Morning, Guyana. Morning for everyone listening in the diaspora. Now, Kadaki, where is the rights advocacy group or lawyers that would, take the NIS to court and this government? What they have done and continued, Guyanese people are going to be left with nothing. And Rhonda had raised the issue that they're going to stand up, but no, they will not stand up. They're afraid. Afraid of what? I do not know. But it just seems like You can sit back, take it, and ask, how much more you gonna give me? And the Guyanese people just continue. A bunch of these people already should have been in jail and banished from Guyana. Look what had taken place with Ramator before he left office in terms of what he did with the 2R blocks. That man should have been in jail. But Guyanese just simply sit back, take it, and while these people live fat, they kill us, and we sit there, do nothing. We come out one day, and these people know we're just going to make noise for a couple of hours or a couple of days, and then that's it. We have no sustained approach. Great call from Kofi, in reference to the Universal Fund. $10,000, even we can get more out of that, in my estimation and belief. And how do we now try to rectify the ills once you're in those positions of power? Firstly, the Indians would have to recognize that they got away with murder, and they're not going to do that. So we are afraid to dole out to our people what is due, and I don't know, as far as especially from African Guyanese people, the suffering will continue until you do something about it. And
Thank you, caller. Voice note.
But I know how serious. When a union boss tell them come out with it and went out there swinging their arms. That is the fight they are fighting for. Huh? When you hear you, please. I am glad that that section that the man, that what he was saying, foot on the ground, boots on the ground.
The ministry need them to start back to school tomorrow, the 3rd. The school got a flooded problem in the classroom. When the teacher is teaching, the water dripping down, the concrete falling, the children bracing on the wall, they're getting shocked. The ministry didn't do anything, but yet still they want them to go back to school. Could you shine a light on that? I think that all the parents should go out there and protest in front of that school because it's unfit primary and secondary. Because it's one electrical thing straight to the primary and secondary. Good morning, Mr. Kadaki, friends and family. We still left flooding. Current running through the walls. When the children embrace it, it's shocking them. The Ministry of Education ain't do nothing. They want the children to go to school tomorrow. We, the parents, should go out there and do some sort of picketing. All the news media should be out there. The school is unfit for the children to be going there, and I feel that how it should be known all better than that. What am I going to tell you? Sorry when something happens, not a buying telling me sorry. It won't go down so. Jungle justice in them.
Yes, you see, on matters like these, this is where leadership, and I'm talking about local leadership, takes charge. Who is the Parent Teachers Association president? The president of the Parent Teachers Association ought to reach out to all the parents by now and say, listen, we're not going to stand for this. We are not going to send our children to school. We're not going to send our children to school. Rather, building to make a statement that we are not going to go in there, we are not going to put our children at risk because the powers that be can't fix what needs fixing. It's as simple as that. The call is saying go there and protest. Yes, go there and protest. And there are different forms of protest. You can either go there or keep your children home. And that's what I recommend. Protest in some form, but just don't send your children into the school, that's all. It's now 9:04. I'll have to wrap up the show shortly, so I won't be taking any other calls. And what I'll be doing is playing voice notes. Right? Yes, there's another one here to play.
pleasant good morning to you.
And all these voice notes are low. I don't know why these people are whispering at me. Why are you whispering to Mr. Amsterdam? No, I just said we won't be able to take any more calls, did I? Please respect that.
Kind, be so.
There are times when I can
Good
go
morning to you,
extra
Mr.
time, not today.
Amsterdam, and good morning to you, Guyana. Sometimes, we wonder, how can mankind, how can they be so heartless and so selfish? It is a travesty. We're in a terrible situation. And unless those men and women that we placed in positions to represent us, just for theirs and their family, it is terrible. I don't...
If you're listening to the program, kindly note I said I won't be taking any more calls. I'm sorry.
Not where we have already gone to that place. And then Mr. Jagdio is talking about that NIS funding and all those stuff. When we would have known that they took money from NIS to do back into the NIS. My God.
Yes, it's now 5 minutes past the 9 o'clock hour. I'm sorry I'm on a time leash this morning. Many of you might think it's a holiday and so I should have lots of time on my hands. No, thank you for joining the program. Let me encourage you. Go across to KAMS TV on YouTube and subscribe. Please do. I know what I'm saying. Please subscribe. Even if you don't view the program there, subscribe. Ensure you have a presence. Good? Because in time to come, you will see what will be happening. It's now 5 minutes past the 9 o'clock hour. I bid you a wonderful rest of the day. Those of you who are here in Ghana, enjoy your holiday. Make it productive. Do something with it. Something that you needed to get done, that you couldn't get done while toiling your 8 to 4 because it's a regular working day. Take today this holiday and don't just chillax. Do something positive with it. Do something empowering with it. Right? One of the things you can do if you have the time is keep sharing this live. Share it even after it has ended. And so let other people get an opportunity to view it. Encourage them to subscribe not only to KAMS TV on Facebook, but on YouTube. Join me tomorrow.